Connecting bridge to PulseChain.
Assets to make a gain. APR so high, so juicy. Footer look like Gary Busey. EMP be flossing, tossing. 3650 with your secret saucing.
Bridge, PulseChain, bridge, BSC. Transaction status success. 69 block confirmations. 420 UTC.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to EMP.Money. My name is HA. I'm the team leader here, and this is our live AMA. We come to you every Monday and Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. We have another jam-packed episode. Again, this is usually about an hour, but the last few have been closer to 2 hours, just because we have so much incredibly bullish announcements and news, and alpha, of course. And we even have a new opportunity today that we're going to do a deep dive under as well. But before we get into all of that, I'd like to introduce my co-host with the most and fellow team member, LA. LA, how are you?
I'm very good. Excited to be here.
Awesome, good deal. Yeah, apologies. We were a little bit late again starting the AMA. It never fails. We have the most in-depth developer meetings. It seems like always right before these AMAs, but lots of headway being made. We'll talk about that in terms of Fusion and Sparkswap and some other updates as well. We may even have some special guests later on. So before we get to our big offering of today, again, a brand new opportunity that we are rolling out through the EMP Treasury. We're going to go over some updates first. So, again, bear with us as we get through everything and stay tuned all the way to the end for the new opportunity. So, and again, before we get started, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The more that we have engagement, the higher our algorithm goes, and the more ad revenue that we can generate to support EMP and the EMP ecosystem. So please make sure you're engaging, and it's a great way to support, invest in your investment. All right, awesome. And all along, too, while we're going through this, if you have any questions or want us to do a further deep dive, please comment in the live chat or get our attention in any of our other socials. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with L1 Dex. Had a lot of updates about L1 Dex on the AMA on Monday, so make sure you go and give that a listen as well. But we ended up meeting with the team again on Monday evening after that AMA, and we're still waiting on a few last minute details to be sent about what's happening in the very near future. But as of right now, you still do need to download the Chrome extension in order to claim your tokens and use the app. So remember, we discussed that they're moving towards the L1X app, but you still need to have the L1X wallet to initially claim your tokens. Now, that may be changing by the end of the month. Again, they're phasing out the wallet per se, and moving everything to the app. But right now, you still need to do both to be able to, interact with what is there. So, Ella, you want to add to that before we have two other announcements? But anything in regards to that?
Yeah, we are, like, just to reiterate, we are just still waiting on a little bit of information that's going to be relayed to us. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated as we receive the information. And we'll be excited to give it to you as we receive it.
Perfect. Okay, and again, remember, we're L1 Dex is not part of the L1X team. We have to kind of wait for their go ahead on a lot of things before we can move forward as well. But we have been told that everyone who purchases, or who purchased, excuse me, I'm trying to go too fast, through our EMP DexFi pre-sale should now have received the first allocation of their token. So again, or rather coin. So definitely double check now. If you were in the earlier rounds, again, all of you should now be eligible. Oh, good. We see some comments in the chat right now that people have got theirs. So that holds true. Again, everybody should have their coins by the end of the month. So there really isn't any big rush. But the initial pre-sale that we did, you should have access now. And then, the current round, if you got into the current round, that should be available later in the month. Again, it's a first come, first served distribution. So, again, public sale buyers still to come between now and the 30th. So, yeah, very, very good. It looks like we are making headway. Again, we appreciate everybody's patience. Um, but, you're not losing out by not getting your coins immediately. That was another reason why we're waiting to launch the DEX as well, because we want to make sure everybody has their coins before we're moving forward on our side. So, all right, I think that really is all the updates for L1 DEX. LA, anything you want to comment on in regards to that?
No, I think that's it for now.
All right, awesome. So now on to Sparkswap. So we had a very, very busy week at Sparkswap. The major topic of discussion, and I know a lot of you have been really hyped over, is that the bridge is now live. So we had a great AMA about the bridge, specifically on Monday. Again, if you haven't listened to that one, please do so. But now, after it's been running for a few days, everything is still running flawlessly and working extremely well. I think everybody is happy. There's still a little bit of confusion on V1, V2. Well, we're going to go ahead and show that here in a minute and go over it. But in the meantime, part of the discussion we had right before this AMA is additional bridging options. I know that we've said all along, EMP was going to be the first asset that we allow bridging of to offer, some incentivized rewards on SparkSwap, but we are prioritizing now a few other non-native assets that will really allow us to market the bridge to a much larger audience and really compete directly with the Ethereum to Pulse bridge, the native bridge. So we have a lot of awesome updates on that. Ella, you want to talk a little bit more about that while I get my screen share up and running?
Sure, yeah. We just got off a very bullish developer meeting, and things are moving along. We're going to be making a lot of additional improvements to the bridge as we go. It is already working super flawlessly. We've been getting a lot of comments from you guys on how fast it operates and how seamless things have been. We do recognize that there are a couple extra steps that you have to take right now, which ideally won't be the case moving forward. So we are continuing to develop that further, and there are going to be some additional improvements moving forwards. We did want to make sure to get the bridge out as soon as possible. So that's why we didn't take a few extra weeks to add them in before launching, but we are going to continue to develop further so that we can improve as we go and make things even more seamless moving forwards.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely, LA. And again, there are a lot of moving parts. I talked about this a little bit on the last AMA, but we are realizing, and we've always realized, but we have the best dev teams, in crypto. People and protocols do not develop bridges because they are about as advanced as tech as you can get. So, it's not as simple as adding a token that you can now bridge back and forth. We have to have deep liquidity. We have to have all the arbitrage bots set up to keep parity and make sure there's no, wild prices, wild swings in prices. And all those things have to work together flawlessly between two different chains. Again, not just one chain. So my point is that there is a ton of moving pieces, and we work as fast as we can, but it has to be, we have to do our due diligence and make sure whatever we release is actually going to work as well and not be exploited and be safe. And yada yada yada. So, all right, Ella, you want me to show the difference between swapping and liquidity, correct? And then the bridge.
What basically what we're going to go through today is because a comment that I've been hearing is people are trying to swap directly from EMP to PLS, which currently is not possible. So what we're going to do is AJ is going to demonstrate a bridge first from BSC to PLS or BSC to PulseChain, and then we're going to demonstrate how to turn that EMP into PLS in the current way that things are functioning as of today.
Okay, perfect. So, again, I'm gonna try to do this. Bear with me as I have everything set up, I think, on this test account. But the idea is that you need to pay attention to what we're calling V1 and V2. V1 is at the top here. It doesn't have V1 just because it's the original, but this is the swap and liquidity. And this is allowing you to switch back and forth um, on actual PLSX or PulseX liquidity, which the majority of our farms are on, and V2, which is actually Sparkswap liquidity. So again, Sparkswap is now an actual DEX. We are, again, building liquidity to be an actual decentralized exchange. So in the meantime, it's a little confusing because we're in this transitionary period, but eventually, all the liquidity, or the majority of the liquidity, will live on V2 or SparkSwap itself, and then that will allow people to, route their orders in a lot more efficient way, where you're not having to do 10 different, transactions to get the tokens that you want. So, all right, we can start with the bridge. Again, very simple and straightforward. This doesn't require anything other than EMP on either Pulse or BSC. You will, just pick your chain. So we'll go to BSC first, and then you'll see the EMP show up. This is one of the treasuries. So we have quite a few EMP in here. I'm not going to bridge right now, but I'll show you how to do it. Again, you would just type in the numbers here. It's a 1,000 EMP minimum and a 1 million EMP maximum. So you can just, put whatever number you want. You will approve the transaction. And then after you approve, again, don't mess with any of the settings. Approve that transaction and then bridge. And then after you submit that, you would switch back over to Pulse. Again, just click that little arrow and switch networks in your Rabby or your MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using, and then it will show up here on the Pulse side, really usually within about 45 seconds, right, LA? We're still seeing, you know, a minute or less, and it depends on the size of the transfer and
Typically, for sure.
yeah, network fee or network congestion. Um, but that's again what we're seeing. So, all right, so now you have EMP on the Pulse side. Again, um, you are gonna have to have some Pulse in your wallet if you're brand new to Spark or Pulse in general. You won't be able to transact because you won't have any Pulse as gas fees. So we are working on a way to convert some of your bridging uh, allocation into actual PLS. But in the meantime, you know, ask a friend for some PLS or try to try to find it somewhere until we have an option. But once you have enough PLS, and literally you only need about 10 cents, maybe 10,000 pulse, which is very, very cheap, and that will allow you to transact. But what you do is, um, once you have the assets, you need to go to V2. So you can only buy, again, let's make this perfectly clear, because I think this is where the confusion is. You can only buy EMP using V2. You can import the contract address of EMP. Again, even if you go to swap on V1, let me show this. All right, so even if you tried to do it here, you notice there is not EMP as an option. So we do that on purpose because this is not the way to do it. There is very, very little liquidity for EMP on V1, which is Pulse X liquidity. So I repeat, do not paste in the EMP wallet address here and try to swap because you're going to get killed on ETH I'm sorry, on impact fees. So again, that is very important to remember. Um, you have to go to V2 and you have to do it with Ethereum. So right now, the only pool or the only farm LP pair on V2 is Wrapped ETH or ETH and EMP. So don't try to do Pulse to EMP. It won't even work on here. Again, those are the only two options you see, EMP and WETH, in the token selection. So again, you'll have to go to V1 and convert PLS or DAI or whatever into wrapped ETH. Oh, let me do it this way. Hang on. All right, so swap V1. Again, you have Pulse. You would convert it to ETH, and then this ETH will be representative on V1 and V2. So you can use Pulse, you can use DAI, you can use anything you need to over on V1 or Pulse X. Get your wrapped ETH, and then you can use that to buy EMP. Or again, if you already have your EMP, you just need to buy the equivalent in wrapped ETH and add liquidity in V2. So again, the liquidity is also V2, and then that will allow you to farm. So you would just go to liquidity V2, add liquidity. Again, don't pick PLS. You pick EMP and wrapped ETH, and then that's where you would provide liquidity and then use that LP to go into the farm. So another thing I want to mention too, if you don't have other assets and you would like to sell on the Pulse side, if you're just bridging over EMP from BSC and then selling half of it to create LP, that is selling EMP, and that will get you removed from VIP. Again, you're hurting your own self anyway because you're basically selling EMP at the bottom, and you're gonna have to buy that EMP back at a higher price anyway. So be very careful with that. What you would do, what is acceptable, is buying the equivalent um, EMP on the BSC side. So again, if you're already on Binance Smart Chain, and you have, say, 1,000 EMP, you would need to buy an additional 1,000 EMP with fresh capital on the BSC side, bridge that over, and then you can sell the EMP that you bought. So as long as it's a net neutral, exchange, then you're in the clear. So, all right, I know it was a lot to go over. LA, was that helpful? I can go into it more. You want me to show it all over again? What do
No,
you,
that
yeah,
was
okay,
helpful.
okay.
In a nutshell, just to condense that all in a verbal form, you're going to bridge over from BSC to PulseChain. The first step is that you're going to use the V2 to swap the swap V2 to change your EMP into ETH, or WETH. And then you're going to go to the regular swap and swap your WETH for PLS if that's what you're trying to change it to, or whatever other coin or token. That was what we were trying to demonstrate today, turning your EMP into PLS, because that was what we were getting questioned. There were people trying to directly change it from EMP to PLS and then commenting that there wasn't enough liquidity, and that was because they weren't actually doing it properly like we just demonstrated. So now you know how.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. And again, I know it's very a little bit convoluted right now, but we're adding an additional pair ASAP that will, be a non-native asset and be much easier. And as we continue to add pairs, again, there will be a PLS pair with other assets. There will be an ETH pair, just like with EMP right now. There'll be, a stable token pair. So in the next few weeks, there will be enough of different options on V2 that you don't have to remember to always go back to V1. And this is a transition period, so there is a bit of a learning curve with that. But if you're getting hit with 10% price impact, you know that there's an issue because right now on V2 Sparkswap LP, I mean we have like 300 grand of liquidity already. So there's plenty of liquidity. You just have to know what you're swapping to. So, and again, we are hoping to even do a custom routing contract as well between V1 and V2. But we only have so much time in the day, and we have to prioritize, getting more farms out first. So if there's any other, developers on Pulse that want to help out and create routing contracts, we're more than happy to have you DM us. But for right now, we just have to do what has the most impact in the shortest amount of time, and then all the while still getting back to fusion as well. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But all right, awesome. Ella, anything else you want me to show while I have this website up?
No, I think that's good for today.
Alrighty, let me get back to my notes. Hang in there, everybody.
While he does that, I'm going to share some stats that are pretty exciting. Some of them provided by our stat man, Vino. So shout out to him. He's been great at giving us updated stats. The first one, I strategically started a new Sparkler stake right when the bridge launched at 3650, so that I would be able to give some stats, every few days, and it would be super easy to calculate the averages. So I just wanted to give an average on Sparkler and what it's been paying out at the max stake over the last 3 days. It's been a 1.25% average per day, average APR per day. So that's pretty damn bullish.
I love it.
Yeah, and then here, let me open up the stats from Vino. Oh, he wants to jump on and do it, so let's let him do it.
All right, straight from the horse's mouth. Go ahead, Vino. How are you, brother?
Yeah, this night's been a whirlwind. I'll tell you what, I made a post in VIP. It was like live PD outside my back fence.
Yeah, yeah. The cops are coming because they know how bullish all the info you're about to drop is. So yeah, brother, let's hear it. I know you've been behind the scenes doing some on-chain analysis of, what's actually happening. Again, the numbers don't lie. So yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, they certainly don't lie. And hard numbers, they're hard to come by. A lot of people are not good at math, or they just don't want to understand, that the math actually works and adds up. But yeah, so I got home, ran the numbers, and since the bridge is launched, there's been $430,000 worth of volume going through that, which is absolutely insane. I was forecasting 10% a day, which we're actually pretty close to that. I've been using a 3-day moving average on EMP price from Binance Smart Chain, so it's not exact, but it's a good average, and that's actually generated close to $2,200 worth of revenue for the entire bridge revenue generation. And since we're talking about Sparkswap, I broke it down also for direct revenue that goes into the sparkler, and it's actually $1,300, almost $1,500 worth of sparkler revenue injections. So what does that mean, right? You got the number $1,300. Well, half of that, since the payout is in Spark and PLS, half of that is Spark, half of that is PLS. $650 worth of Spark since the bridge has been launched has been bought off the market and distributed to those that are staked in the sparkler. And it doesn't matter if you're a 1-day stake, 7-day, 1 year, 10-year, you're going to get that amount of money based off of your share ownership, which is why every single one of my stakes is 36.50, because I want the most shares that I can get so I can get the most real revenue. And being that the bridge it's not even a week old right now, and it's already had $430,000 worth of volume. As more people talk about it, they talk about how quick it is, how cheap it is. I mean, you can't beat it. It doesn't matter where you go. You're not going to beat 21 cents for a fee over on Binance Smart Chain coming over to PulseChain, which is equally as cheap. In terms of capital efficiency, you'd be silly to and this isn't a shot at the bridge, the official bridge, but you'd be silly to purchase ETH, go to ETH and the official ETH bridge from Richard Hart and the PulseChain devs and bridge it over. You want to preserve as much capital as possible. So you would use our bridge here at Sparkswap, send it over to PulseChain, and do all your transactions. But I digress on that part. I think that's kind of obvious. And not to mention, it's so freaking quick, right? I've been bridging stuff. I was testing it, and it was like 10 seconds to a minute. The longest I had to wait was 10 minutes, which is bonkers, because you wait 1 to 3 hours for an Ethereum bridge or one of these other exchanges that offer that. I just wanted to throw that in real quick. But on top of the revenue generated from the bridge alone, currently we're sitting at 36% of the total supply of Spark locked up in the sparkler. The denomination of time that is staked out, I can't aggregate that data, but I would say 90 to 95% of the quote unquote smart money is staked out 10 years so that they could earn protocol revenue in not just protocol revenue, but future revenue. Anything that comes along in the future that we're building out here at Sparkswap, they're going to earn that for the next 10 years. And that 36% supply locked up is absolutely massive. I mean, that can't be understated. If you look at the true circulating value of tokens, it's actually only 3.75 million coins that are tokens. Sorry, there is a difference. 3.75 million tokens circulating in supply out of our, I think it's close to 6 million, like 5.8 million tokens that have actually been minted. So if you use the true market cap based off true circulating tokens, our market cap is sitting at $1.1 million, which is extremely low for not only a new farm, but a new farm with a community, and a new farm with a community that's constantly innovating and has the cheapest and fastest bridge onto PulseChain. And I say that with integrity, confidence, you name it, conviction, because I've not seen a bridge where you can get onto PulseChain quite like this one. So hats off to you, AJ, for that, as well as everybody else in the background working hard. And to kind of put the cherry on the top, Spark is still vastly undervalued based off of liquidity versus true market cap, and it's about a $300,000 difference. So I actually took initiative, I think it was 2 days ago, and I bought some more Spark and staked it, max 3650 squad. Shout out 3650 squad, because I can see the value currently. And if the price dips, it's not a big deal, because I'm going to be earning from here all the way until the end of the protocol. And if we just say the protocol lasts 15 years, you're going to make earnings all the way up to 10 years, and then you can restake that or take profit at 10 years. To me, it's a no-brainer. But I know a lot of people, obviously you don't want to invest more than you're willing to lose, but I think a lot of people are more short-sighted and they don't look at the longer-term vision. And to steelman that argument, we'll say, I'm kind of rambling here, but if you were to steelman that argument and say, well, Sparkswap's only going to be around 3 years, you're still getting the maximum amount of value at this current price being depressed versus buying higher with the same dollar capital and staking it later. And you're still earning all of those fees. Since everything's based off of shares, it makes total sense to buy low, stake max, and just reap all of the benefits. And the bridge has only been live since Monday, $430,000 based off of a 3-day moving average. That sounds pretty damn good to me. I don't know about you guys.
Absolutely, Vino. I love it, brother. Again, we love it when you do deep dives on the actual math, because the numbers don't lie. And again, not financial advice, but personally, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that people get so hung up on the price of Spark, and obviously we want to have a healthy price of Spark. But we've said it literally from day one, and you can go back and listen to the day one AMAs. The secret sauce is Sparkler, and if you're not staking in Sparkler to earn real yield, you're doing it wrong. And again, that's not financial advice, but this ecosystem is very, very different than buying a token low and selling it for a higher price. It's about the yield that token generates. And again, that's how the richest people in the world accumulate their wealth, is through yield bearing assets. And so, again, whether that's real estate or businesses, or in our case, Sparkler and the Spark token, that is what's going to matter. And, again, I think that we saw some people buy the rumor and sell the news of the bridge, but I think again, that short sighted mentality, and people that are not letting these revenue streams build up. I mean, what Vino just said, that was in the last 3 days, $400,000 of volume. That's on one token. Imagine when we have 10 bridgeable assets, and 100 different farms operating as an actual DEX. All of that revenue will be funneled to Sparkler. And again, people that aren't understanding that are just not seeing the bigger picture. So amazing, thank you, Vino. I want to get to our big announcement here in a minute. I know we have a special guest with us, and he's been traveling all day, so he may not be able to stay the whole time, and I want to make sure we introduce him. But LA, is there any other last minute bullet points about SparkSwap? Yeah.
Yes, just one really quick one. We are kicking off the AMA train today. So we have another AMA coming up after this one at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 1 a.m. UTC. So we would love for you to join us. It's with Dow King. I did post and pin the links earlier in all of our groups. And this is just the beginning. We have one tonight, one on Friday, one on Saturday, one on Monday. So that train is leaving the station.
I love it. Yes, so definitely join us for that tonight. And this is going to be promoting the bridge and this brand new opportunity that we announced last night. And the title of today's video, we are unveiling EMP Treasury Bond NFTs. So we're really excited for this. We're going to do a major deep dive. Again, stick around. It's going to be a long one, but before we even get to that, and again, because of the time constraints, I want to make sure we're able to introduce him and really just give an overview of who he is, because a lot of the revenue from these treasury bonds will be generated through an amazing protocol that has been a private opportunity up until now. And it still is a private opportunity. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, that these treasury bonds are technically a loan to the protocol. But I want to introduce the actual brains and real human being, not a trading bot, but an actual person behind all of this, Brian. So let me go ahead and bring him on. Give me 1 second here. All right, Brian, are you there, brother? Can you unmute?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Hey, there he is. Yes, brother, loud and clear.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So, hey, brother, I know you're actually at a crypto.com event. So I know you were trying to get on really quick before you have to run. But I'm gonna go ahead and break down the entire NFT and what it means. But I just want to have you on here. Maybe if you can just give a quick history of who you are, as a person, and how we're able to do this through actually having a legitimate, TradeYield account that is actually, essentially sponsored by Crypto.com and Bybit, and how you are truly an institutional grade trader. So go ahead, brother. The floor is all yours.
Sure, awesome, man. Thank you, and I appreciate everybody being on this call, and grateful to be here. As AJ said, it's funny because you actually hear the word legitimate trading opportunity in this space, because I don't think I've really found one, or one that's sustainable or has actually lasted, the test of time.
Yeah.
But so a little bit about my background, guys, is AJ and I actually met about 2 years ago. Well, not met, but online, digitally, about 2 years ago. And EMP was the first project that I really got my kind of feet wet with in the DeFi space. So I was brand new to it, had been investing in crypto for a bit, nothing on the trading side, just, buying and holding and selling. But DeFi was introduced to me by a friend of mine, which led me to EMP and AJ. And, from the start, AJ and I had communicated many times. He was always open to taking calls, and, we were jumping on at 3 o'clock in the morning. And, over time, I had invested, quite a bit of money into EMP just based off of who AJ was and his vision. And I still continue to today. And I think it's probably one of the best, if not most sustainable projects out there. And, I am very, very excited for what's to come. And, when I don't think any of this would have been possible without AJ and, his incredible team behind it. So when he approached me, initially about, we had some discussions about trading. And at the time I had got into trading last year in digital assets specifically, and never traded before. And I'll be completely transparent with you guys. I've, a lot of traders, they say it takes 2 years, 10 years to become an expert trader, depending on how long the learning curve takes. But I started last October, just based off of my partner at the time, who was supposed to be trading, and he sent me some signals on, some different assets. And so I just decided to jump on to Bybit one day, threw some money in the account, and started trading and started seeing some wins, but started seeing patterns right off the bat. And I had no idea what indicators were, what even that, there was such thing as indicators or even candlestick patterns, or how charts operated. And I literally learned by going to Google and searching top 3 indicators. And just with RSI and MACD, and I don't even know if I used the third, maybe it was just the 2. And like super trend indicator. In my first month, I went from 0 to doing 956% returns but that was on 100,000. So I did almost $956,000 in profit. My wasn't even a month. I think it was 21 days trading. And of course, most people would, again, if you saw that kind of result, you think that you're on top of the world and you're the best of the best. But, I've been through the process of building businesses in the past, and I know when beginner's luck is beginner's luck. And I knew there was going to be a time that, because of the trend in the market and how I was trading, that eventually that was going to shift. And, I had to learn how to trade, multiple different types of markets, types of volatility, trends, you name it. And I actually reinvested all of that back in. I didn't take a penny of it. And I said, hey, I'm going to burn this over the next however many months. And I was willing to lose it. But I was willing to lose it because I was investing that into my education. I was willing to learn from those losses. So I did take some hits up front, had some big wins again, and again, went through the exact process that I thought I'd go through. Markets changed after the dump in November. It went into a sideways chop market. Then we started moving back up. And, it was just different market conditions, especially at that time. And even more currently, current times where they are extremely volatile just because of the lack of liquidity in the markets and just, standard manipulation of the markets and just the uncertainty of markets in general on both TradeFi and DeFi. But, it took me about 3 to 4 months, and I actually spent $1.2 million in my education to go through this stuff. So I threw an extra couple $100,000 into it. But I was dedicated to figuring out just a simple algorithm or a strategy that could produce the returns that consistently and sustainably and with minimal risk that I did that 30 days, because I'd been through other courses and all these traders were saying, oh, you can never make more than $1 million day trading. But I was like, I did it my first month, so that's obviously possible. And, I want to figure out how to do that. And so, it took about 3 to 4 months, but eventually cracked the code on my side and found a very small segment of the chart that, I could basically exploit and trade against and produced, very consistent profits. And so once I had about, 30 to 60 days running where I was seeing consistent returns and consistent win rate, I actually paid back majority of that investment that I had made. And then I approached AJ. At that time, I had like a 96.8% win rate going into those 90 days. And then I, brought it to AJ and said, hey, I've got something here. Been trading. I actually feel confident now. I know we've discussed potentially launching something regarding trading, in the past when I let him know I was getting involved in it. But I was not willing to take anybody's money or build a fund around something if, I didn't see the results and tested it myself. So back in, I think it was April, AJ actually threw $50,000 of his own money into the fund. And we started with that just to do a test run. And within 21 days, we doubled it to 100%. And then we started raising money from a very specific group of VIPs in EMP, or a specific group of just people, smaller group. And we raised, I think, about 700,000, 750,000 in a very short period of time. But that was only a 90-day fund that started in April. Actually, May 18th is when it started. That's when we first took our first deposit. And we ran that to the end of August. We had phenomenal success. I think that fund in general did 86.7% returns during that time. And, everybody got paid out accordingly. And a lot of them rolled into the new structure of the fund that we had released that following month. And from that point, we've just been seeing consistent returns on that side of it. Of course, we want to make this as sustainable as possible. So we have gone through different structure changes and yield changes. And we finally came to a conclusion, and AJ will break down, the NFTs, how they're structured, the returns and everything on those. And we came up with something in a model that we truly believe we could run, for 10, 15, 20 years from now, because trading, nice thing about it, it hasn't changed, for the past century. It's the same, everything is based off the same models, and it's not going to change anytime in the near future. But because of this, going through this process, I actually had been primarily trading on Bybit. And previously, when I was at a little DeFi fund, I had a hedge fund that invested with me. They did very well on the DeFi side. They'd actually invested a substantial amount into EMP at some times, and they had great results with that. And they had Crypto.com reach out to them one day and say, hey, like, we're growing our trading side. We really want to compete with Bybit and Binance. You know, we're kind of at the ground level. On the other side, we're the largest exchange and highest regulated exchange in the world. But the trading is what they were falling short of compared to, you know, platforms like Bybit and Binance. So due to their structure, they couldn't do it because they're registered in New York. But they referred them to me, and I built a great relationship with this guy named Essa Ahmed, who's here in Austin. I'm actually going to meet him a bit later tonight, and decided to jump on their platform. And they saw my results and offered me the opportunity to come on board. And because of my business, I was able to structure a corporation in BVI, which is where the exchange is registered under. So that offered a lot more flexibility on their side, and also my side to have, I guess, more leniency within an account. And so at that time, they gave me, they gave me $500,000 line of credit. They gave me a ton of different. I have a team of 7, 8 different support people directly connected to the CEO, COO. And at that time, it was basically saying, hey, we'll give you a 60-day run. We'll put you on a tier 5 partner account, which is the highest tier account and lowest fees at that time. And, let's see how you do. And all we expect you to do is basically generate 1% of total exchange volume. So that's the total volume, trading volume for both retail and institutional every single month, just to maintain that tier level. So over the last 4 months, well, since, it was July, August, September, October. I guess it's only been 4.5 months since being on their platform. Become the number 2 volume producer on their platform, do about $300 million to $400 million a month on Crypto.com, supply about 4% of the entire liquidity to the platform, which obviously drives their growth. They actually created a new tier level for me, so I have my own custom tier level above every other institution that offers a myriad of additional benefits that we can talk, and I can happily go over those in more detail. But I actually have a negative fee structure on Crypto.com, so when I place a trade, they actually pay me to place trades because of the amount of volume and liquidity I generate for their platform. And in addition to that, it also led to a partnership with a company called CoinRoutes, which is a institutional level algorithmic platform. And so I know I'm kind of going through things fast here, guys, so I have to probably jump off in about 10 minutes. But CoinRoutes is the first, where the developers of CoinRoutes, they were the first ever people to develop an institutional trading algorithm for companies like Merrill Lynch, Chase, JP Morgan Chase, and what was it? There was one other one that used them at the time back in 2000. I think it was 2004. But you're talking top 5 banks. They all came from Wall Street, all came from those banks, and developed the algorithm that now all of these major banks use to trade on. And if most people think, a majority of people think that Wall Street is still floors of all these traders that you watch in Wolf and Wall Street, of people screaming and yelling and making trades. Fact of the matter is that regardless of digital assets or TradeFi assets, traditional market assets, all of those trades are executed by warehouses, like 100,000 square foot warehouses full of servers that run algorithmic bots and algorithmic technology that was primarily developed off of what CoinRoutes had, what now has developed for the digital asset space. And so these guys transitioned from, they actually created Lava Trading too, which they sold to Citibank for $400 million in 2005. So they transitioned in 2019, I believe, into the digital asset space. First ones to create an institutional algorithm. I know you can go on Google and search trading algorithms on Google, but I mean, none of them do anything close to what these algos do. They also have their servers, just in general, process more data of all markets than any other servers or exchange platform in the world. Especially on the digital asset side, they process data from every single major exchange out there, and terabytes a second, which is what the algorithm uses to basically use to execute trades. So I was introduced to them. They saw my numbers, brought me on, and now I've primarily used their algorithm to trade on. But not only do I use their algorithm, I also have been set up with private servers in CoinRoute, so I have dedicated servers that there's no lag time in basically analyzing that data to execute trades. And I also have private and dedicated APIs on CoinRoutes and Crypto.com side, so that I have the lowest latency and highest response rate API. So basically, as you were, on Bybit or Crypto.com or any other exchange, and you went to go execute a trade, and you put a trade in, as soon as you click that button, my trade and the algorithm itself would actually execute that trade and front run your trade before yours even enters. And that's the difference in terms of having an institutional advantage when trading. Retail doesn't have the advantage when trading. Institutions have the house advantage. And, when you make trades or they see, a certain percentage of people executing, a specific position at one time, then they can go in and that algorithm will take that data after you've already made that trade, and they still have the advantage to execute trades in front of yours before they actually process, and they can front run all of your trades. And that's why a lot of times when you enter a trade on any asset, and regardless of how much it is, you enter it, next thing you know, you go down to the negative on the trade. And that's because you are being front run by these institutions. And so I have the ability to, sweep top and bottom liquidity of the market. We can go into the details of how it works. But in my home office in, Denver, Colorado, I basically have the same, powerhouse of a institutional trading platform that the same, major and largest institutions in the world have. And, I don't say this to be egotistical or anything else, but I guarantee you that there's not one other trader, individual trader out there that has this same type of advantage and setup. And so AJ will go into more about the NFTs and everything else, but we have, still over the last 3 months, I've had a 100% success rate. And I know that's crazy to hear in this space. If you told anybody, even successful traders, they'll say you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about, or you're lying, or full of shit. But at the same time, I'm fully transparent, as AJ will tell you. We've always produced for any of our investors, small or large, fulfilled on payouts and commitments. We've never missed one. I'm fully transparent about trades, trading journals, profit and loss, all of that, monthly returns, and there's nothing to hide. And that's the thing that, has really driven us to the level of success that we've already had already. And now here I am sitting in Austin, Texas, invited out by the Crypto.com for Austin F1, and meeting with the CEO and COO and all the other execs, for the next 3 days. Have private, because they're one of the largest sponsors of F1 and just sponsored Aston Martin. But, have private VIP paddock passes, get to go meet the teams, drivers' garages. I have private paddock seating with the team owners and everything else. And, it's just crazy for me to think how quickly I got to where I am today. But, as AJ will tell you, and as AJ has had the same commitment to EMP since day one, I still have never lost that, same commitment to becoming a better trader each and every day. So personally, with what I've done, over the last few months, my goal is very similar to AJ's with EMP, and it's always been, I could do this for myself. And a lot of people ask me, why don't I just do this for myself? But I've always wanted to, I feel like have something, and throughout my life, I just always feel like I'm meant to give back to others. And if, I have something that I can help others with, and also support, collective community, and especially support EMP and AJ and, their vision, then, I'd love to be able to do that. And so we've gotten up to, this point right now. I'm really excited for the NFTs, and, always happy to answer any questions later too, guys. I do apologize that kind of had to go through things quickly, and would like to go more in depth on them, and I will at a later date.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, so you want to take that off, AJ, and kind of jump into explain all of that?
Yeah, man. Every time
if I missed anything, let me know. I was trying to process everything at one time there. And,
that was amazing, brother.
It all out.
Yeah, no doubt. I can cover everything else that you may have left out. Again, before you do have to go, I just want to say thank you, for being not only an amazing friend, but also, helping us scale, through this opportunity. And again, I mean, this is still a private deal. Other accounts that Brian manages were under some NDAs, but even some other trading NFTs that are very popular, we're actually managing, those accounts. So Brian is the real deal. I mean, again, without giving away too much, I got approached literally every day for 2 years on these, bullshit Ponzi trading bots that never work, and I would never get behind something that we didn't have proven results with. And Brian's been delivering again since what, April of this year. So yeah, man, it's been incredible. So I know you had to go, but yeah, thank you. Any last words you want to say before I go over all the details? Yeah.
I think I covered everything, guys. And sorry if you guys have any questions too. Feel free to personally reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. And so I'm usually at my computer late at night. I trade till, I have a little 4-year-old daughter and wife, and so I get most of my trading done over, when everybody else is sleeping. So I trade to usually 4 o'clock in the morning. But please feel free to reach out if there is a delay between when I get back to you. I do apologize. I do have a very busy weekend, but I'll do my best to do that. I just have to run out for about an hour, and then I will most likely just be back and, happy to answer any questions, guys. And so, like I said, fully transparent. Feel free to ask me, anything. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here, AJ, and be working with yourself and be speaking to all of you. So, I appreciate everybody, jumping on this and look forward to, building something great here, guys. And we are already well on our way.
Amazing, brother. Yep, you got it, man. All right, cool. And yeah, we'll have Brian on for future AMAs again over the next 2 weeks. We're going to do a lot of other AMAs outside of our community, and Brian will be on there for some of those as well. So yeah, just stay tuned. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and run through all of the details. Again, I just want to make sure that everybody had a background of who Brian was. It's a real person with real results. We're not talking about a traditional trading bot, and there are so many advantages that we have with Brian. Again, he just spent the last 20 minutes explaining what those advantages are, and that is really what sets us apart in being able to earn as well. So, all right, I'm going to go through everything, and then again, if there's any additional questions, please feel free to ask as well. But the first thing is that these EMP Treasury Bonds, and actually, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm gonna go. Actually, let me go through the FAQs first. Right, LA, is that probably the best way of doing it? Doing the FAQs first?
Yeah, let's kind of just give a very general overview of some of the main bullets.
Okay.
I can do that part if you want.
Yeah, if you can do that real quick, perfect. Yep, you got it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so they're $250 each, and minting started on the 17th for the VIPs and the 18th, which was yesterday, for the public. Minting will run until the end of the month, so at 11:59 p.m. on the 31st, and then the rewards will start accruing on the 1st of November. You'll be able to collect your rewards and cash out your NFT at the end of a 12-month period, and it will accrue a 60% APR. It's USDC in and USDC out, and that is on the Binance Smart Chain. Now, even though you're earning 5% average per month, you're not able to collect that on a monthly basis. You collect it at the end of the 12 months. The exception to that is the peer-to-peer marketplace. There will be a in real-time counter that will be adding up what you've earned up until that point. 60% divided by 12 months is 5% per month, roughly, but it will be adding it up in real time, and each person selling their NFT will not be determining what they sell it for. The smart contract will determine it based on the principal plus whatever interest you've earned up until that point, and that will be the selling price of the NFT. We do this to keep the floor price and the value of the NFTs high, and for it to be a great buying opportunity for someone even 6-8 months down the line from now, and a great opportunity for those who wish to sell. There will be a small 2% fee in the peer-to-peer marketplace. And AJ can go into the rest during the FAQs.
All right, perfect. So yeah, great overview. Again, this is the home screen. it'll be EMP.Bonds.com, and these are Treasury bonds. So this again for regulatory reasons, obviously we are not a security, so we're not managing anybody's funds. We are simply requesting a loan to the protocol that is backed by the EMP Treasury. So just like you would buy a war bond or a traditional bond that's backed by, the U.S. Or in the U.S. Dollar case, it's backed by the gold reserves, or the fiat value itself. We are, and again, maybe it's backed more by the army, but we won't get into political talks. But anyway, the idea is that we are still extremely healthy. This is a way to truly scale the protocol. And again, I wouldn't put my face on this $250 bond if I wasn't fully confident that we could deliver in the most risk-averse way possible. So this is the homepage. Again, like LA said, all the basic info is there. You can go down to the bottom. They're $250 a piece, USDC. You can mint a minimum of one and a maximum of, as I've read this minute, 1,862. So whatever happens first, 11 days, 19 hours from now, or when everything is completely minted out, they will no longer be available. So it is a 1 year lock time, and will be redeemable in full for your principal and the 60% APR, which turns that 250 into $400 per treasury bond on November 1st, 2024. So, all right, let's go ahead and go into the FAQs. Again, you can get it up here at the top right. All right. A lot of this may be duplicate info, but we want to make sure we go through it all. Is there a maximum number of NFTs I can buy? No, there is no minimum. Or no, there is no maximum rather. Buy as many as you would like. However, once the hard cap has been reached, you can no longer purchase any more NFTs. All right. Will there be a maximum number of NFTs? Again, there's a hard cap of 2,000 NFTs for this initial round of treasury bonds. We may open another round in the future, but if we do that, most likely the APRs will be a bit lower. Again, this is our introductory offer, and it will depend on, some external factors. The reason we settled on 60% APR is because based on the history of the fund and what Brian has been able to do, we feel like we can absolutely meet that and guarantee the returns. Again, we are using the word guarantee, and that makes us very different than other, flexible APRs. And we did a very similar initiative with our ETH staking contract last year, and we raised like I think 1,000 ETH for that, and we made good on that 100% within 3 months. So again, when we use the word guaranteed, it is a big deal because we truly are backing it with our treasury. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute here as well. So, all right, when will the sales period end? October 31st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as the hard cap has been reached. All right, when will the rewards period begin? November 1st, 2023 is when the rewards period will initiate to start calculating your earnings. Again, like LA said, it works out to be 5% monthly. And we'll have a calculator that represents that in real time as well. So, will they pay out monthly? Can I collect the rewards every month? So, again, this is very important. No. Even though you're earning 5% monthly and your NFT can be sold in the marketplace peer-to-peer at any time, outside of that, if you're not selling your NFT, you can only collect your full 60% APR at the end of the 12-month period, which is on November 1st, 2024. So just be aware that you are, locking up your capital for a year. And although it may not be, crypto worthy degenerate APR, it is an amazing APR on stables. and even a year from now, to get 60% in a year, it just blows away traditional finance, and allows us to utilize that cash in the meantime. So, all right, let me continue to go down here. Hang on. All right, how can I sell my NFT and what is involved in the process? LA, do you want to read this one? It's a bit of a long one. I just got to catch my breath. So, yeah, are you able to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, of course. Let me just get that up on my actual screen because it's too small on the YouTube window. 1 second. So technically speaking, this is an interest-bearing loan to the protocol. It is backed by the EMP Treasury and the revenue streams we currently have in place, the majority of which are paid through TradeYield. TradeYield is a professionally regulated hedge fund account we have a long relationship and a proven track record with of managing our own treasury funds over the last year. Over the last year, we've been scaling our positions with TradeYield as we have proven their ability to generate consistent returns and sustainability. Please understand that this is very different from the traditional bot trading and flat-out Ponzi structures. All trades are done manually, and we are actively monitoring all accounts daily. TradeYield holds an institutional account with two of the largest leveraged trading platforms, Crypto.com and Bybit.com, that allows us to access reduced fees, trading incentives, and actually front-run the retail volume. No other legitimate fund has the ability to do this.
Perfect. All right, we went a little bit out of order here. But yeah, that, and again, Brian commented on how, he's able to have these relationships, and again, actually front run retail, which, further guarantees that we're able to meet any liability through the payouts of these bonds. So, all right.
I read the wrong one, didn't
Yep,
I?
you did. It's all good. So yeah.
It started with how, and I read the wrong how. Sorry.
No, you're
Sorry,
good.
guys.
Yeah, so we can skip around. It's all good. So I'll take this one now then. So how can I sell my NFT and what is involved in the process? So yes, you can sell your Treasury Bond NFT in the peer-to-peer marketplace. Technically speaking, 60% APR is equivalent to 5% monthly. Therefore, when you list your NFTs for sale, depending on how many months have passed, you can factor in that 5% per month into your sale price. In the marketplace, this appreciation will be calculated in real time, minute by minute, and when you plan on listing, it will automatically have a hyper accurate value listed for you. It is also attractive for new buyers that may have missed this original mint and are still wanting to earn attractive APRs. So again, I'll recap this all. But when selling your NFT, the smart contract designates the selling price for you on the current value, and you're not able to adjust the price. So again, you're not able to undercut, what the actual monetary value of that NFT is. You're not able to sell below market value. This will maintain the value of all treasury bonds at a consistent rate. The example is if you purchased one NFT for $250, 3 months have now passed, earning 5% monthly. You will then sell your NFT for $287.50 in the peer-to-peer marketplace, which is the $250 principal plus the 15% over those 3 months, which equals $37.50. So now the NFT is worth $287.50. All right, and again, to realize the gains, you have to sell the NFT. And we'll talk about hyper compounding here next. So what happens when the year is over? Can I auto renew? There is no compounding or auto renewal. At the end of the 1 year period, you will need to cash out your bonds. At the 1 year mark, when you cash out, you'll collect your principal and interest. At that point, if we are opening another round, then you will have the option to re-enter under those new terms. But we are purposely getting rid of the ability to compound. So the 60% APR is a fixed rate, guaranteed fixed rate, but you're not able to hyper compound, which again, that is what we've seen with many other Ponzi schemes and even somewhat legitimate DeFi protocols. the ability to auto compound can be very, very powerful, and sometimes in a very bad way. And that's where we see a lot of funds get destroyed because people are able to hyper compound and never impact their principal by removing or by taking profit. So we're very cautious of that, and this is a much healthier uh, arrangement. So how is the yield generated? Um, LA, you want to go over that one for me real quick? Or we did this one. This is one you already read, right? Yeah, we ran out of order. So LA already read that one. Yeah,
Yeah, I did
yeah.
that one.
All right, perfect.
I can do the next one though if you
All
want.
right, perfect.
Is the 60% APR guaranteed? How can you guarantee it? Yes, 60% APR and your principal balance will be guaranteed by the EMP Treasury. The Treasury funds under management have grown substantially, which has allowed us to fully collateralize our positions. This means that even in a worst case scenario, we would still have the funds to cover the loan. Additionally, we will be building a separate insurance fund through part of our yield to cover all liabilities.
Perfect. So yeah, let me elaborate on this a little bit as well. Um, and this is what makes us very different. On top of everything else I already mentioned. So, as Brian said, I put up about 50 grand of my own money in the very beginning to determine the viability of I'm sorry, of what Brian was able to do. Um, and so, about a month after that, when we opened it up to the VIPs. We also started having him manage a large portion of our treasury. And so between uh, what we were able to yield on, again, personal funds, the treasury, and the spread on the VIP members, we have managed to accumulate about $1.7 million in funds. So, and we have a screenshot that we can share in our socials as well. Again, we're fully transparent um, about all of this, and we've essentially been able to double our treasury from the original amount. So even if Brian was not able to generate any further yield for an entire year, um, we're able to still pay out the liabilities because again we're fully collateralized. And on top of that, we're actually trying to collateralize uh, assets twice through an insurance fund. So the insurance fund right now has about $200,000 of assets in it as well. And that again will be continually growing over the next year to just doubly make sure that we have enough reserves to make good on the APR. So we're really confident in that. Again, we would never release something that we felt we wouldn't be able to deliver on. And even we'll talk about it at the very end here with the risks. Um, but there's even some other really important things that mitigate risk as well. So we'll get to that one second. All right. Are there additional fees associated with the Treasury bond? So there is a 2% fee associated with selling. The 2% fee is used to bolster the insurance fund. So again, everything goes back to guaranteeing that the APR will be met, and the marketplace is a convenience. So, if you have an emergency or need to get out, that would be a great way to do it. Just remember, if you're getting into this NFT, the whole idea is that you're holding for the year anyway. So um, there is no minting fees and there is no redemption fees at the end of the 1 year period. Transferring of the NFTs will not be allowed, and this means that you're not able to transfer to a different wallet or a third-party marketplace. So whatever wallet you mint with, make sure that it's secure and that you're not going to be hacked because if for whatever reason you are, we're not able to transfer the NFTs, which is just, again, a way to make sure that people aren't able to undercut the price of the NFTs. So, all right, the emergency withdrawal. Ella, you want to go over that one real quick and then I'll elaborate?
Yep. So, is there an emergency withdrawal option? Yes, there will be an emergency redemption contract in the marketplace. This contract will allow you to exit with a partial return of your principal, $225, and none of the interest you have accrued. Each week, there will be a specific number of NFTs that can be redeemed under this emergency withdrawal option. There will be a counter that displays how many are left for that week. If the balance reaches zero, you'll have to wait until the following week. Please note the amount of eligible emergency withdrawal NFTs will be based on the health and performance of the protocol and is subject to change week by week.
Perfect. So just to clarify, the marketplace is a peer-to-peer transaction, which means you are selling your NFT and somebody else has to buy it for that transaction to go through, not the protocol itself. And that being said, it is still attractive for people to buy NFTs, maybe 6 months from now, because you could still earn, 30% in 6 months rather than 60% in 12 months. So we do feel like there will be a lot of volume through our internal marketplace. But if you really did have a true emergency and needed the capital immediately, we will have this emergency withdrawal option, and that is funded by the protocol. So again, we're not releasing numbers, but we're estimating about $10,000 a week that we can allocate to the emergency withdrawal contract. And again, that is just a worst case scenario. Remember, you will be taking a 10% haircut on your principal and forfeiting any of the gains that you have made. So it becomes much more impactful, later on if you do have to emergency withdraw. Again, it's just another convenient option for those that may need it. So, all right. A few more here, and then we'll take some questions. Why are you offering this opportunity? Well, um, EMP is taking on a loan to strengthen our entire ecosystem prior to a bunch of other of our products launching. I'm sorry here. And prior to a bunch of our products launching, period. Funds collected from this NFT will be utilized in our entire ecosystem. So again, the majority of the yield is coming from TradeYield, but like Brian said, he is very keen on supporting our entire ecosystem. So anything that we make above and beyond the liabilities with this capital specifically will go to actually creating a revenue stream for Fusion. And as well as the treasury funds we already have, creating revenue, and then also bolster EMP, Sparkswap, and L1 DEX. And again, we released some alpha last night to our VIPs. We also have plans of having a TradeYield battery with Fusion as well. So not only is this an opportunity to help strengthen the ecosystem, but it will also be able to feed the existing projects that we have and vice versa as well. So again, this will strategically bolster our yield and subsidize the overall health of the entire ecosystem. This is designed to take an already healthy ecosystem and scale it exponentially at a much more rapid pace. All additional yield outside of liabilities, paying out treasury bonds, and building of the insurance fund will also be used to supplement the yields in Fusion. So again, this is a pure revenue stream for Fusion, and it's been absolutely killing it for the last 7 months. So all right, and then last but not least, what are the major risks? So with all crypto projects, there is an inherent risk. However, we have done everything in our power to fully collateralize all of the liabilities associated with the Treasury Bond NFTs. We have purposely calculated a modest yet attractive APR to ensure these liabilities are met and that we have the cash reserves in place. We intentionally went through an entire year of verifying this proof of concept with consistent yields before ever considering taking on this loan. This was to ensure all of our obligations will be met. On top of that, we are also reducing any third-party risk by taking self-custody of treasury assets, trading accounts, and other price appreciating assets. So that last part is also really important. We have a ton of reserves in Ethereum. So if Ethereum goes up, 100% over the next year, that also helps to reduce the risk. We are able to also have self custody of these funds. So even if again, this is a major risk. Say Crypto.com were to go bankrupt tomorrow, or Bybit or any of the platforms we're on, just like we saw with FTX, we actually do not hold our assets on Crypto.com. All of the assets are in a hardware wallet, and not on chain per se. They're in their cold wallet, and so even if Crypto.com went down, we would still have access to the wallet with the reserves, and all the reserves are held in USDC. So there's no volatility either. What we would lose out on is any of the open trades, but again, we never put more than 10% of the entire fund at risk in any given trades. So, all right, hopefully that makes sense. LA, was there anything in that you want me to clarify before we go into questions?
We're not quite ready for questions. We do have quite a few more bullets we're
All
going
right.
to go through
All
before
right, you
we
want to,
move on
can
to
you,
that.
yep, can you handle one of those while I go back to our notes in the meantime?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So the first one is when we first put up the posting about this in the group, there were a couple of people that I think it just really didn't click for. And I just want to really reiterate, we're not offering this opportunity because we need a loan. We're structuring this as a loan because that's how we need to do it for regulatory purposes. The reason that we're offering this opportunity is because it's an opportunity to take an already healthy ecosystem and supercharge it. This is going to allow us to scale exponentially at a massively accelerated pace. And I know based on all the whens, that that's what everybody desires. And so this is an opportunity to do that. So that's kind of the first thing I wanted to cover. It has nothing to do with needing a loan. One of the comments we got was, you guys just launched Sparkswap. You can't possibly need more funds right now. And we just had to laugh that one off because it's just someone who obviously didn't take the time to really fully educate themselves and read the FAQs and ask questions if needed and understand what this offer was actually truly about.
Totally.
But
Well,
in no way do we need funds. I mean, we could absolutely keep going as is, and the ecosystem is doing really well right now. But we know that all of you have goals, and we certainly have a really powerful vision. And we know what it will take to get there quicker and grow at a more exponential pace. And this is definitely a big step to get there.
yeah, no doubt, LA. And one more point on that. Again, Sparkswap, EMP, any of the original NFTs like Power Up or Sentinels or Defenders. Again, we get this comment a lot, but it blows my mind. None of those funds went to the protocol at all. Nobody got paid from those NFTs. It didn't go to a developer fee. Literally 100% of all the funds we have ever raised through NFTs have gone into the protocol. So again, Power Up NFTs were able to utilize the entire protocol to generate yield, and all the money went into the protocol. Sentinels, again, the same thing. They were able to generate yield through Reactor and Defenders through Detonator. So again, the team, I think it blows my mind that people think, yeah, we raised all this money with NFTs, and even with Sparkswap, it's been an amazing success. But all the fees that we get and all the capital we raise goes right back into the protocol to again produce those yields. And with Spark specifically, again, all of the rewards are paid out through Sparkler. So I want to make sure people understand that, it's not a money grab. It's not another, opportunity that we're rolling out to distract people. It's simply about scaling. And we've made incredible decisions so far. Again, not to be arrogant or toot our own horn. The vast majority of the community was begging for us to liquidate our treasury, to pay back all or do buybacks on EMP and provide exit liquidity for the entire protocol when we first started seeing PEG slip. We as a team decided not to do that, knowing how, what the future will hold, knowing that things will recover. We put that treasury to work. Now we have literally built a multi-million dollar, or almost multi-million dollar, treasury with those funds, and now we can support Fusion and a healthy PEG and EMP price. What we feel is indefinitely, because we made that hard decision not to just give up and pay out everybody and basically destroy our treasury. So again, I just want to bring all that up because there's a lot more happening behind the scenes than I think people give us credit for. So all right, we discussed the specifics of TradeYield, the proven track record. Again, we'll have Brian on for additional AMAs as well for those of you that want to speak to him directly. And we would have never opened this up to the public without knowing that we could, make good on it 100%. So, yeah.
On that bullet,
Yeah.
though, I just want to point out, as you heard Brian speak, there was a definite timeline of how we chose to do things. First, Brian tested his own money, and then Brian tested AJ's personal funds, and then Brian was managing his own money, AJ's personal funds, and the treasury funds. And then, only then, when there was a track record of all of those steps first, did we then open it up to a small group of the VIPs. And then we built a track record with them. And so this is now Brian, AJ, Treasury, VIP. This is now the 5th tier of proving that track record, opening it up to the public. I just wanted to point that out because we went through these steps very intentionally. And if you were paying attention over the last few months, you would have heard us say things a lot like, there's another revenue stream we haven't even spoken about yet that's really helping our treasury. There's another revenue stream we can't even talk about yet because we're building a track record. You've heard us say that. You just maybe didn't quite pay that much attention because we weren't actually giving any details on it yet. But we've been saying that for a lot of months, just here and there randomly. And this is what we were talking about. We just couldn't give specifics on it yet because we didn't want anyone asking us if they could get in, because we felt it was really important to build this track record before ever opening it up to anyone else, because we wanted that long-standing history of proven results first.
Yeah, amazing stuff, LA, for sure. All right, so another bullet point is, why would somebody mint a $250 NFT as opposed to just buying $250 worth of EMP and getting the peg bonus on it, or using it to buy, just EMP bonds? And the answer to that is diversification. So, that obviously, we want you to prioritize having an EMP bag above all else, especially because of that peg bonus that you're getting on it. But this is essentially, in addition to, or you can almost look at it as a savings account where, you're foregoing that yield in the short term, but you know that you're going to get paid, a 1.6x or 60% APR, and what will be hopefully the peak of the next bull run. So there is no right or wrong answer, and we're not here to sell you on the idea of the NFT. Again, we're just here to offer an opportunity, but I can say that by getting at least one of these NFTs, you are ensuring that we're able to deliver on everything that we said we would, through EMP and Fusion. So I think it's again a little bit of both. LA, I don't know if you want to add any more insight on that.
I
But
do, for
yeah,
sure.
please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to just add some insight from myself personally, and why I was really excited to get in on the opportunity when AJ first started speaking about how we were going to transition from the small group of VIPs that we had doing this into the NFT model, and we started speaking about the specifics of it. I remember a phone call that him and I were on, and we had a conversation about this, and I got really excited about it because, in crypto, 60% APR is not something that people get wildly excited about, but on stables, that is an incredibly great APR for USDC in and USDC out. But the thing I specifically remember speaking about on that phone call is being that I'm only now 2 years into my crypto journey. I've seen a lot in those 2 years. And one thing that I've noticed is outside of the EMP ecosystem, a lot of what's offered in DeFi can provide much higher APRs than that, but you have to time it perfectly. And if you don't get in and out at the exact right second, you can either win huge or lose terribly and get totally screwed over. And I've heard so many people in our groups talk about that, right? And then through discovering EMP, so many people have found a safe haven. And we've been able to do DeFi with great APRs in a much safer environment. But inevitably in DeFi, there's always going to be risk because a lot of it is dependent on other people's actions. And so one thing that I said to AJ is that I'm excited about this opportunity because it gives me an opportunity, and all of us an opportunity, to build our portfolios full of different time lengths of investments and different risk levels. And this feels like something that is very safe because it's guaranteed, and it's a very decent APR for stables. And so I feel very comfortable having that in my portfolio, and then adding to it with maybe some longer length, lower APR things that are, locked down, and then some riskier things as well that may come along here and there that are way higher, and just having a mix of all of those different risk levels in the portfolio. Most things, or all things that we offer here at EMP, we try to create, like I said, that safe haven. But I know we have a bunch of degens in the group. And so having that type of investment in the portfolio, to me, feels like a good opportunity type to diversify. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is going into these NFTs is almost like double dipping, because personally, as an individual, you're getting that 60% guaranteed APR. But outside of that, a big portion of this is that this fund can potentially earn more than 60% APR over the year. And outside of the insurance fund and building that up, a lot of the excess is going to flow into Fusion as additional rewards. And so if one were to be invested in Fusion and the NFTs, it's almost like double dipping, in my eyes, at least. Would
No,
you kind of agree with
I
that?
love that, LA. Yeah. So just to elaborate on that, what LA is saying, so based on the numbers that Brian has been doing, again, we're being extremely conservative. Say that we're able to literally, meet our obligation, and provide that 60% APR. Say that we're able to meet that obligation in 6 months, internally. Well, that means that we can then use the capital that we've generated, and continue to yield for another 6 months, completely, profiting. And all of that money, again, it's not going into my pocket. It's not going into Brian's pocket. He makes commission on, other accounts. We have a personal relationship management fees that he takes from other accounts. But again, he has made a commitment to us that whatever we're able to raise through this um, drive, so to speak, is literally providing yield for Fusion. So, and that doesn't even include the treasury funds that we've been able to build. So when we say we can be generating $10,000 a day in in actual real yield for Fusion, we're not bullshitting. I mean, this really could be the possibility, and that's just one revenue stream. We haven't even talked. Well, we talk about it on other AMAs, but not today. The revenue generating from Fusion itself, revenue generated from L1 Dex, revenue generated from Sparkswap. Again, the infrastructure to feed Fusion is going to be absolutely massive, and so that's why, like LA said, it's a great way to double dip, where not only are you able to earn this APR yourself, but now you're able to actually generate more for the protocol as well. And again, this is the major reason why we are rolling out this opportunity as well. So, all right. Again, Ella did a great job elaborating, but it's about diversifying. 60% on stables is incredibly high in terms of industry standards. You're lucky if you're getting that 20% anywhere else. And we're paying those in real yield, which again, it doesn't require, the token to appreciate in value. It's not an APR that may fluctuate, and it's not overly ambitious that can't be met either. So, all right, and DeFi,
Also,
yeah,
just
go ahead, yeah,
one
please,
funny
yeah.
thing to just one funny thing. I posted it in VIP the day that minting started for VIPs, but I just found it hilarious. Not that traditional banking can anyway compare to crypto, but on the same day that we started minting in the VIP, I got an advertisement in my email from a bank, and the email just sounded so exciting, and it said great rates, 5% annual yield, minimum deposit $5,000. And I just thought to myself, like, man, crypto is just incredible and what we're able to offer, because 60% is very just stable and reasonable. Nothing wild, nothing crazy compared to what we've seen, but very consistent and stable. Like, but I mean, for 5% from a bank, that's actually really good.
Yeah,
So just
absolutely.
found that funny.
Yeah, 100% LA. Again, that's the power of crypto. And, again, this is why crypto will literally change the world as we continue to move forward. And it shows how early we all are as well. So, again, just other things to highlight, you know, this is guaranteed by the Treasury. We'll talk a bit more about that in 1 minute, but the idea is that you're able to sleep sound at night. You know that we're going to be here tomorrow. Again, we've never had an exploit. The treasury funds are very healthy. I posted a screenshot in our socials. I'm happy to do it again. I may even be able to put it on the website if people want that. That shows our treasury reserves. Um, again, it's not in it's in the crypto.com account right now. But we can show the wallet address as well. So yeah, I mean, it's all transparent, and even in a worst case scenario, again, in terms of the trade yield account going to zero, or we first of all, we would never be in that position. The only thing that would happen would be crypto.com would go down, but I explained earlier that it's held on a hardware wallet. Anyway, the risk that is there is, again, if we have World War III, or some cataclysmic event, where overall markets come down, the value of the U.S. dollar, is cut in half, USDC loses its peg. I mean, those are some of the things that would be the black swan events that we would not be able to make good on. But other than that, I mean, again, the funds are going to be over collateralized twice, once by a treasury and once by this insurance fund. So, and if that were to happen, we have a lot bigger problems to worry about for crypto as a whole um, than these treasury bonds. So, all right, I think that is it. I'm trying to
I
wrap
want
it
to
up here,
add
Ellie.
one
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead, please. And any of the other
So,
bullet points, because I know we have another AMA. I don't want to go too long, but go ahead,
yeah,
Ellie. Yep.
we have,
Yep.
oh, that's ours. Yeah, I just wanted to touch base one more time on the track record from the ETH staking contract because we did briefly mention it, but
Perfect.
I actually want to touch base on how impressive it was that we were able to meet those obligations because just for those of you who weren't aware of what the ETH staking contract was, basically you staked your ETH and you had a guaranteed APR. I forget what the APR was, but you didn't touch it for 3 months. And at the end of the 3 months, you got your principal and that interest back. Now, what I want to emphasize is what was happening during those 3 months. So this was in the height of the bear market getting massively underway. And while that was happening, we were literally watching all of the other DeFi projects around us literally crumble and burn. Either they were rugging or they were just failing. Terra Luna mess was happening. Other sites were going under and freezing assets so that trades weren't able to be happening. Like literally there was so much panic and fear and just everything was going down in the market all around us, yet we still paid every single dollar, not only of the principal back, but every single dollar of that interest back to every single investor invested in that ETH staking contract. And if we can do that in those circumstances, now when we actually have a large treasury built up and we have, just so much of a healthier position that we're in and just so much more to work with, we just feel so confident about this. So there is that track record, not only of the ETH staking contract, but of the results from TradeYield. Sorry,
Yep. Yep.
I was about to say Yield Wolf for a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
um, um,
Yeah. Not Yield
but
Wolf. Yeah. Yeah.
no. But yeah, I just wanted to paint the picture because it wasn't just this easy, like everything was breezy. It was the bull market, easy breezy. It was a challenging time in the market, and we always fulfill our obligations, always.
Yeah, I love it, LA. Again, just those of you that have been here from the beginning, you know the history and the track record. But please help educate the other people that may be newer, that don't understand, the unbridled transparency and fiduciary responsibility that we've had to our community from literally day one. And again, we have actual math and contracts that prove what we're saying. And that ETH staking is a great example. So on top of all that, we also have a handful of VIPs who have been invested over the last 5 months. Again, like LA said, there was a very specific time frame that we laid out. First was me personally. Again, if anybody was going to lose money, I would much rather it be me personally than put the Treasury or anybody else's funds at risk. That went really well, so we opened it up to the Treasury. Treasury was being managed. That went really well. Then we opened it up to some very select VIPs. Again, we had a pretty high minimum because typically Brian at TradeYield, he will not take on any clients under 250K or more. And again, it's just as a full-time trader, you can't manage, a $10,000 account, for 100 different people. You spend more time, communicating than trading. So that being said, these VIPs are also some names that you would recognize in the community. I'm not going to dox them on the AMA, but if you join our Telegram or Discord, I'm sure they would be willing to give you some testimonial and some insight into their results. Again, we have no hidden agenda here. We're not trying to sell you on the idea. You're responsible for getting into these or not. So, but I think it's really important that you hear from actual community members that have experienced this. So, all right. Again, I know it was a long one today. LA, you want to go into some questions or anything else we skipped over? I tried
Yes.
to. I hurried it up a little bit at the end, but yeah, I'm happy to have you go over it. Yeah.
I'm not sure if we're going to be able to cover all of them because there's quite a few in Discord and we only have about 20 minutes until the Dow King AMA, but we're going to cover as many as we can, and any that we are not able to cover today, we will cover on Monday's AMA. So this first one, I really think is going to have to be asked in the L1X Discord. We can personally try our best to answer it, but I do think it may have to be asked in the L1X Discord. I have a question about L1X. For those of us who bought in the pre-sale, it was said we receive the tokens 1/15 every month, starting in August, if I'm not wrong. So if it starts, let's say, in November, do we receive 4/15 or do we start at 1/15? And is it possible to stake all of the L1X we purchased in the pre-sale, or only the L1X that we already got from vesting? Part of that you can probably
Yeah,
answer.
so again, I would definitely clarify in L1X channels because we are not part of the team. But my understanding is, yeah, you will only have access to the tokens that are unvested. It is 1/15 per month for 15 months, and the vesting period starts when the chain went live. So again, I don't think it wasn't August. I believe it was September. So I think you're going to be getting it from September onwards. But again, I would definitely clarify with the L1X team on that. And yeah, I mean, we had tried to, lobby, and we still may lobby for allowing you to utilize your L1X in the L1 DEX. Even the ones that may or may not have been vested, but it gets to be a bit tricky because once token trading goes live, if we were able to utilize utilize vested tokens, technically those are tradable. So at that point, it would really screw up, all the vesting schedules. So I don't think that's going to be an option. You have to use the L1X that you are getting unvested. But we'll have more announcements on that as we go. But that's really we have no control over that. It's a L1X decision. So yeah.
Okay. The next two are more of suggestions than questions, but we can address them. The first one is it possible to add a live feed real-time statistics of revenue fees generated by the bridge/protocol daily on the Sparkswap site?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely doable. It's already there in a little bit. Based on overall, you could kind of keep count every day. And do the math yourself. I know it gets annoying. And it depends on the price of Spark. As well. But yeah, I mean, all those are really, again, not to be a jerk, but those have very little impact on, revenue and generating. In other words, we have to tackle the low-hanging fruit that actually generates yield for us before we can worry about UI, changes or updates. So right now, the number one priority is Fusion and getting all the bridgeable assets in place as well as some additional farms. But yeah, I love that suggestion, and we will definitely make upgrades to the UI as we continue to go, for sure.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to comment. maybe you might feel differently, AJ, I'm not sure, but not this particular person, but we did get like a request of, whether we can have like a real-time feed on how much is being bridged and all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to say, like, I personally feel like the more specific information we're putting out into the public on exactly what's happening behind the scenes with the bridge, the more potential there could be for like an exploit or something like that. So we do want to be careful about what exactly we are sharing and what we're not. Obviously, the fees going into Sparkler, that's something we could do. But certain stuff when it comes to the bridge, we probably don't want to put out into the public just because of that reason.
Yeah, I mean, again, the bridge is bulletproof. I really, we wouldn't feel like there would be an exploit. But it definitely puts a larger target on our back, I would say. And I think that's what LA was getting at.
That's
And
what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, totally. And
I
I
just don't
think
want to give people anything more than they need if they're not the right kind of people.
totally. Yeah, 100%. Well, and again, a lot of it's out of our control as well. I've mentioned this a few times, and again, love Richard Hart, not talking shit, but the PulseChain Explorer is complete trash. So a lot of the data that we have to pull from is a PulseChain issue, um, and that makes it difficult. Again, there isn't even a price oracle established on PulseChain yet. There's a lot of like really important infrastructure that isn't here yet still, and we have to wait or build it ourselves. So either way, it's time. So again, I think that will come. And again, we're so early at Pulse. That's not fudding Pulse Chain. It's just the reality of the situation. And there's a lot of incredible teams that are building some awesome stuff. Um, again, shout out to the Liquid Loans guys. They put together the first multi-sig on Pulse. There is a lot of great development happening. We just, we have to let it develop. So let the devs dev. Yeah.
For sure. I did remember one thing I did want to share. I'm going to get to the next question in just a second, but I did want to point out, because I think people are quicker to point out things they're dissatisfied with than they are things that they're excited about. So
For
I
sure.
wanted to be, that spark of positivity. But today on the Spark charts, we're seeing some nice movement upwards. We're up by 8.96% in the last 24 hours. There's more buyers than sellers, and the buy volume is almost double the sell volume. So I just wanted to point that out. It's something to celebrate. I think we should always celebrate even the little wins as well as the big ones. So just throwing that out there before we move to the next question.
I love it. Yes.
So here is another suggestion. Is it a possible use case for shares in the Sparkler, especially for 10-year shares, allowing the ability to buy, sell your shares as NFTs in the marketplace?
Yeah, again, I mean, yes, I would love that to be a thing. But everything that people suggest, unfortunately, it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. That is part of the ideas that we had. We love the feedback. Again, I don't want it to sound like we don't want people's ideas, because that's definitely not the case. We love ideas. And sometimes there is some great feedback that we don't think about, but 99% of the time it's stuff that we've already discussed. And yeah, I think eventually we could do that, but that requires some extremely heavy lifting in terms of code. We have to have a marketplace for those NFTs. We have to migrate the contract to be able to break those shares out. So it's a lot more complicated. And again, back to my original comment about UI fixes. Um, right now, we're just trying to prioritize what will make us the most revenue to the protocol. and that is adding more farms, adding more bridgeable assets, and so that will be the priority for the next few weeks, for sure. But yeah, I like that idea about making your positions in Sparkler tradable for sure.
Awesome. We're going to do one or two more, and then I need to give you at least 5 minutes to set up for the next
Yeah,
AMA.
please. No doubt, LA.
So when will I be able to bridge my eShares over to PulseChain for
Yep.
Sparkswap?
So that is still in the plans. Again, we're prioritizing a stable token or ETH at the moment because we need to appeal to a wider audience. EMP and eShare are great for our own community, but we need to add eShare when it's better for the ecosystem. Meaning, right now, if we added eShare tomorrow, we're going to get the same sort of complaints, about low liquidity, about people not knowing how to use V1 and V2, all the other issues we went over at the very beginning of this AMA. So we need to have a stable token or ETH option to actually drive volume to the bridge before we add the other, eShare or even E-bonds as well. So yeah, does that answer, LA?
Yep. And here is the final question. Is the protocol using Treasury Bonds the same way it was intending to use the ETH staking from last year?
Yeah, so very similar. The ETH staking from last year, what we did was we paired that Ethereum with the EMP that the Treasury owned, and we generated yield through the protocol. So again, it was generating yield. It wasn't relying on the token price going up or down. Again, like LA said, ETH actually went down substantially over those 3 months and we were still able to pay out. So it isn't the same exact model, but in theory, it is because again, we're using the funds to generate yield, and then that yield is what pays the APR. So yeah, very similar, but not exactly the same.
Awesome. And the final question was, when will VIP be opening back up? And we will keep you guys in the loop on that. We don't have an answer to that, an exact answer to that at this time.
Yep, LA is working on some secret sauce for a new round of VIPs, but we'll get to that before Fusion, hopefully.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Great questions tonight, and I hope you're as excited as we are about everything that's coming up.
Amazing. Yes, thank you, LA. Again, we're gonna wrap it up really quickly here. We have another AMA over on Dow King, his channel. Make sure you join us over there. We're gonna be doing a whole AMA train about these NFTs. So tell your kids, tell your wife, right? Is that how it goes? About the NFTs. And
Don't hide your kids or
yeah,
hide your wife, but tell them. Tell them.
exactly. There you go, LA. So these NFTs are the new hotness for sure. So, all right, everybody. Again, thank you for being here. Follow all of our socials. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more updates. Again, get the NFTs while you can because, obviously, waiting until the last minute min maxes your yield, but you don't want them to sell out and miss the opportunity altogether. So, and yeah, please help us spread the word. So, all right, everybody. Good night. Good day. We'll see you on Monday, 6:45 p.m. Eastern.